Hey folks, standing outside, it's like about 8 p.m. Didn't get around to recording this until just now. I'm gonna try to sit down here. Uh, so it's day 54, like I said. Um, Kind of a crappy day, really. I had one of those setbacks. It's like a momentary thing, like literally a moment where the urges just got too too strong, and you're not gonna BS you. I went on to Google Chrome on my smartphone, which I know I said I was gonna get rid of. Send it out to my parents to have them keep it for me. Given that my dad already knows about the whole PMO deal, and he supports me in getting rid of that from my life. But went on to Google Chrome, typed in like a string of words that been bouncing around in my head as far as specific kind of material, and went to Google Images, looked at it for a moment, like scrolled down maybe a third of the page, and then I guess my wiring in my brain that I've been working on the last like 54 days kicked in and was like, what the fuck are you doing? Pardon my language. And I hit the back button and got out of that, and just went to the stack button on there and got rid of that. And I'm gonna go and clear out the history, because even if I go back and use it, and I don't type that stuff in, how it has like the autofill, and if you hit like one letter from that string, it pops up and it just kind of, the trigger's there, the cue's there. So if I get rid of that, maybe I can go back to some normalcy. But it's like the second half of this whole 90 days, and like I said, like, oh, I gotta do things differently, I need to have different results, different effects, all that kind of crap. And it's always like, once you have the carnal knowledge of it, it's there, and it's always going to be there to some extent. It's like once you figure out that you can do this one thing to get that reward, you know, try as you might, it's still going to be in your head. So, you gotta take that arrogance that I've gotten over the last 54 days, and even earlier than now, and just like chuck it out, because every time this kind of stuff happens, it's back to the humility and having to have a big slice of humble pie, So, but it's been like the last few days, just been a lot of anxiety and stress and such. School started up again. Have had issues with the girlfriend. We're technically speaking still together, but it kind of feels like I'm on the way out or so of the relationship, or she is, because it's been this whole sort of up and down sort of roller coaster of sorts, throughout the time we've been together. Where I feel like I've been expected to do so many things for the relationship, and like she hasn't really contributed so much, and it's always like all of school going on or all of work or whatever, and it's like creating drama, stress, anxiety for me. And I don't know, can't entirely put a blame on her. I mean, she's a human being, she's under pressure herself because her younger sister is getting married, and in the culture that she's from, if the younger sister gets married for the older one, it's kind of like, well, what the heck is wrong with the older sister? What's going on here? Luckily, like, her mother knows about our relationship and approves of it. Her father does not. Her sisters do. They're okay with it, but I'm just kind of questioning a lot of things as far as that, being with her in particular is concerned, because I don't know, I'm seeing that she's kind of like bipolar, and she can be very, like, I guess you could say, maybe an outside perspective would say she's being very emotionally abusive and manipulative over the times and that we've been together, and it just doesn't help. And expecting her to like look at herself like that and be like, self-critical and change herself is, anytime I've gotten in that direction, it's caused like a big blow up and a big argument, and this whole sort of like, almost kind of like, oh, we're breaking up now, I'm dumping you, we're not together anymore, it's over or whatever. And then like, it's like I scramble, so to speak, and try to save the relationship, and then she comes back, and it's like, okay, now we're together again. It's just sort of this repetitive cycle, and it's really been disrupting a lot of other areas of my life. It's one of the reasons why, I mean, my father said this, talking to him, and I kind of agree with him that, this last semester, one of the reasons why I got out to a bad start, which then kind of led to it, well, not kind of, but totally led to a negative ending, was being distracted with girl problems or women problems or relationship problems, because she apparently found out that her sister had revealed the whole relationship to their mother, and she got really upset with that. And it was the beginning of the semester last semester, and she just kind of disappeared for, well, not kind of, she totally disappeared from Facebook, or at least was just not available to talk for close to 2 weeks. And I was left in the dark. And she's done this. She had done this kind of stuff before, and it all has like put me in some sort of like downward spiral emotionally. And yeah, it really disrupted my attempts to study. And it was my first semester of actual chemical engineering classes, which meant that it was pretty freaking difficult. It's like industrial chemical calculation, intro to transport phenomena, all that kind of stuff. And when you fail one of these classes, since in a lot of cases, organic filmmaking out here, authentic, yeah, you hear it as it happens. Some dude, let's see if it's catch him on. I don't know if you can see him. He just kind of skated by. These guys been out here riding on a bicycle. They're skating by, and they have like a stereo system built into their bike or into their skateboard, and you hear all the music. But anyways, where was I? Oh, if you fail one of these classes, since they're like in a sequence, it's like prerequisites for further classes. The way it's all set up is, if you do pass the classes in the specific order, you will be graduating 2 years from then. But if you fail any of them, or you withdraw, or you have to retake any of them, you're set back by an entire year. And this is kind of one of the main reasons why people end up dropping out of engineering in general, much less, and as well switching majors. It's just like they find that they can't pass this one class, and if they can't pass that one class, then I'm sorry, but you're not going to become a fill-in-the-blank engineer, or you will have to find some other way to get to graduation with an engineering degree, bachelor's, and then maybe you can have your second chance of this discipline at, the master's or PhD level. And that's if you can somehow figure out how to get this material, So there's like a lot of weeding out of like gatekeeper courses and gatekeeper professors who, for one reason or other, for their other personal reasons or just economic reasons or whatever, they feel like they gotta like weed people out, So I ended up failing one of the two main prereq courses or entry courses, and then like I got a D- in the other one, which is technically it was considered passing, but it's like even if I had, I don't know, got a C in the other one, C- in the other one, and then like gotten the D- other, and it's still technically passed, it would have been like to the point that going into the next semester, this semester, like I would have had to double down over the break just to get the material, because if you got too many holes in your understanding of the prerequisite material, you're going to kind of be screwed in the next semester, because it's like the professor's going to go up there in front of the class and be like, so you guys remember this thing and this thing and this thing, this concept, this theory, this equation, this process, this this set of steps to solve these kinds of problems, or so. Well, now that you know that really well, we're going to go learn this new concept, which is based on all these other concepts that you should have mastered the last semester. And if you're just technically passing, or you're barely passing, like you're going to be up shit creek without a paddle, so to speak. Yeah, I know I'm cursing a bit, but it's kind of how I'm feeling right now. So anyways, I did get through today, but I had that, momentary setback, and it's like kind of, I am feeling that whole, that whole feeling of arousal that, if I don't go home and just like go to sleep, or go sleep when I get home right away, and just shut things off, somehow find a way to just get around it, I'm probably gonna relapse. And so I'm on day 54. This is the longest stretch of time. It's like my personal record, because I did 54 days Nofap before, and that was like my ultimate limit. And then I relapsed on day 54, and I had like been kind of edging to porn subs from day 37 to like day 43 or something like that, and then like yeah, I think like about a week and a half passed, and I relapsed randomly. You know, it was like it just kind of came back because I planted that seed in my head. And going into tomorrow without having rubbed one out, so to speak, to porn, you know, it'll be my furthest I've gotten, period. But it's like playing with fire, you know. I got a little bit singed today, so to speak. And if I play with it even more, I'm gonna get fried, you know. And then it's gonna be back to square one again, and it's gonna feel like crap. You know, I want to get to that day 90 without having gone through the whole PMO routine. But like I said in previous videos, I gotta get through 365 days without any porn, period, in any shape or form, including porn subs. No artificial sexual stimulation for an entire year, I feel. And in order for me to be completely rebooted, and to know that I've gotten to that point, because obviously, like, even if you only get through 30 days or 20 days or 50 days or whatever, like, you don't lose the progress entirely, at least not if you don't binge, you know. But at the same time, it's like, if I can get through 365 days without any artificial sexual stimulation, I can safely say that I have rebooted completely, you know, and that it won't be a problem for me. At least not to the extent that it has been in the past. I mean, like I said, you know, once you have the carnal knowledge of it, it does stick with you, and you can kind of, I guess you could say, you could push it further down the list of options of what to do when the cues or the triggers show up, when you know, your anxiety, your stress, your depression shows up, or stuff gets in the way, and you're like, you know, feeling like you're stuck in life. Like, you can, you know, create 99, 100, 300, 3,000, 5,000 other options to do to cope with that sort of stuff, but it's still gonna be one of the options, and you're still gonna have that knowledge of, I guess, you know, in the moment how good it felt. You're not gonna necessarily remember how bad it felt afterwards. At least not in the entirety. I mean, you might have a theoretical remembrance of it, a vague memory, but obviously as time goes on, you know, you forget more and more, which is, in a sense, good and in a sense bad. But anyways, other than just going over my day, the two things I want to talk about, assuming I still have time on this memory card, I know I have full power, but two things I want to talk about are like the phases of NoFap that I've experienced. I've kind of gone through this stuff in previous, I think, one or two videos, like way long ago, maybe like a year ago or something like that. I don't think it was actually a year ago, so to speak. I think it was actually more like back last June or July, but it wasn't like, I might have deleted those videos, but I think there's kind of like the starting phase, which you're like still an addict, and then you go through the second phase, which is the recovering addict, and I think the final phase is basically where you're just not an addict anymore, and that's kind of like the day, let's say day 90 to day X or day Y, and I feel like I'm in the recovering addict phase, which is where, like, technically speaking, I'm still an addict, but at the same time, I'm like, I built up some resistance to the point that even if I do have a setback like I did today, I don't end up going all the way. I don't end up even, like, you know, edging. And obviously I still get aroused and I still have issues. You know, that's why I'm going back to me. Obviously there's something I think I'm getting out of, which is that reward, that rush, that escape, that release. Even though, you know, in retrospect, whenever you do that kind of stuff, you remember why the heck you were trying to quit to begin with. So yeah, I'm in that recovering addict phase. I hope I can get to that day where it's like I'm not an addict, period, anymore, and it's just not part of who I am. But something I'll have to work on. Something I'll have to work to get to. However, moving on to my second topic. I know this has been something that people have talked about in the past in other videos. Exodramas has gone over it as well, but it's the whole yeah, anyways, it's a whole debate about the moral nature of porn. You know, if it's good or if it's evil, or if it's neither. Something I've thought about a lot, and I'd have to say that at this point in my life, I would have to say that porn in and of itself can be neither good or evil. I mean, I know there's a very, very small community or group of people, or subset of people who, whether or not you consider whether or not they're addicted to it, they create what could be considered pornography, but it's like, a man and a woman, husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, create a sex tape, and they just share it amongst themselves. Maybe like one of them is in the military, is stationed overseas, and they take that with them, and they use that to kind of keep I guess the feelings, the desire, the emotions, the connection going. It's like a member of that kind of thing. Remember the intimacy that they had when they weren't on deployment. Something like that. There are subsets like that, and I guess even people like, or there is a subset like that. Maybe there's even the subset of the people who are polyamorous, whether or not you consider that morally right or wrong. I'm not in favor of it. I'm one of those waiting until marriage, monastical, like ascetic, old school conservative types. Just how I live. That's my approach to life. But one woman, one man, marriage, being loyal, being monogamous, being committed. That's my sort of thing. So, me personally, it wouldn't work for me. But there is that subset that is polyamorous, and they have their material they produce, and they distribute it amongst their little network. And I have known at least one person who's like that. She was of the mindset that porn isn't evil in and of itself, but that kind of stuff. It's a very, very small percentage, and at least in my understanding or my knowledge, of the grander scheme of pornography. Because most of it's commercial, most of it's there's the profit motive behind it. So you're mixing the commodification of sex and sexuality with the profit motive. People wanting to make a ton of money, and especially for not having to do really what I would consider real work. I mean, morality aside, you compare the work that somebody has to do in order to, invent some new technological device, or to accomplish, a interstellar space mission, or sending astronauts to Mars or the moon. The amount of work they have to put into it, the amount of thought, the amount of time and energy and intellect and intelligence, compared to producing some pornographic film, then putting it on the net and charging money for it. Especially with subscription, they'll pay us a monthly subscription to have access to a website, so they can just download content and rub one out to it. I don't consider it real work, in my mind. Hate on me all you will, or agree or disagree with me all you will. Looks like I got 4 minutes left. But I think that aspect of the porn industry and the commercial side of it, that's what I consider to be evil or wrong, or at the very least problematic, because you're talking about, like I said, the commodification of sex and sexuality, the feeding of fantasies of all kinds. Some of them very, very immoral insofar as that they were acted out in real life. They would be immoral. They'd be impinging on people's rights and causing a lot of pain and suffering. And then of course there's a side of the porn industry nobody sees, which unless you're actually involved in it, or if you've seen one of those documentaries where they show like the actual reality of it, as far as like the actors and actresses and the directors and the money and the drugs and the violence and all the suffering that goes into it. So, that's why I would say that if I could completely eliminate porn from the world, I would do that without hesitation, because my mind, you look at the good, you look at the bad, and if the bad outweighs the good, then you should get rid of the thing. It's like when I look at things like alcohol, or tobacco, it's the bad outweighs the good. Maybe somebody gets some of the release, maybe they socialize or whatever, but I think there's far more of a darker side to it than a lighter side to it, and that's why I just, other than being a PMO addict right now and having that perspective, I just see even if I stepped aside that mindset, I would still be against it, because the industrialized side of it, the darker side of it, or the destructive side of it, the side of it that I think really is behind the mask. Really, behind the mask of it, you see, the mask of it makes it seem like it's all fun and games, and it's just people having sex and making money off of it, and people rubbing one out and that sort of thing. And what's so bad about that? But other than having the PMO addict, that perspective on it, which I've seen what, you know, it can really do and what it has done to my life and on the lives of other people. But there's also the side that, you know, that shows the destructiveness of it, that it's been towards people who have been involved in the industry, and just the hijacking of people's reward circuits to make money, which is really like what I feel is like at the core of Nofap, is you get that control back of that reward circuit, and you can use that to make change in your life. But the porn industry doesn't want that, you know, and they don't care how many lives they ruin, how many people they destroy. Porn actresses, porn actors, you know, the rise of HIV and STDs amongst, you know, more and more people, and the destruction of, you know, people's motivation and drive in life, and they don't care because they can make millions, even billions off of it, you know. So that's what I consider to be problematic about it, and destructive about it, and dangerous about it, if not outright evil, you know. And of course, it's coming from someone who's on NoFap, so it's just my perspective, my 2 cents. Hope I don't get a bunch of hateful comments, but if I do, well, I guess I'll have to ban those people. But anyways, thanks for watching my videos, and appreciate the feedback and the support from you guys. You know, hopefully positive feedback, positive support, which I guess is kind of a oxymoron, but yeah, anyways, guys, good luck with your journeys, and I hope this helps you guys as much as it helps me. Day 54, had a setback, not a relapse, didn't give in, and I'm going into day 55. So thanks for watching, guys, and bye.